It's your girl nurse Shawn-Nie here with a new video today. So welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title of this video, today we're talking travel nurse rates and how they are dropping. It is no longer up and stuck for us in the travel nurse world. However, we're not going to panic yet. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on the travel nurse rates dropping and how we should proceed, keep watching. What's up, y'all? It's your girl nurse Shawn-Nie. If you are new to this channel, I'm Chandra, aka nurse Shawn-Nie. I am a labor and delivery travel nurse. Right now I'm currently on an assignment as a travel nurse leader. This is my second assignment, not my second contract, but a second assignment as a travel nurse leader. And so I've been doing travel nurse leadership for about, let me tie this hair back so I stop playing with it because I'm distracting myself. I've been doing travel nurse leadership since November of 2020. I was at my last assignment as a travel nurse leader for 15 months, and then I took a break. You may have seen my video about why I took a break from that assignment. If you haven't, it's on my page. It's on this channel rather. But now, moving forward, new location, everything so far so good. So I'm grateful for that. Now that we've got the intros out of the way, let's talk about these travel nurse rates dropping. So I have not personally been affected by the rate drop, and I think that is because of the position that I'm in as a travel nurse leader. Like, we're not as in high demand as the average travel nurse who's trying to secure a contract at the bedside. I've been hearing in the travel nurse community that the rates are dropping and people are leaving their contracts, which rightfully so. So if I was on an assignment making $150 an hour, and then, you know, I'm loving life, and then my job or my employer comes to me and lets me know, hey, we're gonna cut your rate in half to now $75 an hour, I didn't necessarily sign up for that. So I don't blame people for leaving. You know, some would argue, you know, even working a contract for $75 an hour, that's nothing to sneeze at. However, if I went in for $150, you know, that's what I wanted to make. And if those things are going to change, then I might have to change my location. So I get it. I mean, you got to do what's best for you, especially in this world that we live in. We have, you know, so much transition and so much change going on outside of work, that's the last thing you need for your income and your finances and all those things to be greatly impacted. So I totally 100% get it. A lot of people jumped into travel nursing because of the pandemic. Like, everybody was trying to get to the bag. Like, we wanted the bag. I gotta get some water, y'all, sorry. You know, we were in a pandemic, and rightfully so. Like, people left their staff nurse jobs and jumped into travel nursing to make 10, 12. Like, during this pandemic, I mean, people, they really cashed out. Like, I never went on a crisis assignment or one of these COVID contracts. I never personally had one. But I do know labor and delivery nurses who cashed out, okay? And kudos to y'all. But you know, we had to know at some point those really, really high paying contracts were going to go away. And so I want to believe that people who were able to take advantage, or not take advantage, because I don't want to make it seem like we weren't at work doing, you know, what we're here to do. So people who were able to, you know, secure those high paying contracts, I want to believe that you all put a little nest egg away so that when the rates start to dial back a little bit, you still have a little reserve and you still have options. Because, like I said, those rates are not they weren't designed to ever last forever. Now, should we go back to pre-pandemic rates? I've been in a couple Facebook groups and the conversation has been, y'all knew that the pandemic rates were going to come down at some point. Y'all should have been prepared for it. And this is what people are talking about in the group. This is not me saying that. And then sometimes the rebuttal from nurses are, but just because the rates were what they were pre-pandemic doesn't mean that we have to go back to those rates or we have to accept those rates. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've been traveling pre-pandemic. And as I said, I did not participate in crisis nursing. However, I've been travel nursing since 2019. So about a year. I traveled for about a year before the pandemic. And I made good money as a traveler. Like, I went from making, I want to say, $2,000 every 2 weeks, $2,500 every 2 weeks, to making that in a week. And so once I started travel nursing, I never looked back because I leveled up from that and I gained freedom from being a travel nurse. And I just, it rejuvenated my career. And so I was like, this is it. So in comes the pandemic. Then I worked, it wasn't even a crisis rate, but I worked a contract near my home, which the pay was okay for me to be at home, but I still wasn't making the money that people were making in the midst of this pandemic. After that, I started doing leadership nursing. Now, in leadership nursing, I have made the most money that I've ever made as a nurse. And so this is the lane I'm in right now. And, I'm a firm believer of your path is your path. So when I hear people say, oh, the rates are going down, I'm going to go back and find me a staff job. One, I want to say there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you feel like you got into travel nursing for whatever your why was, because I'm really, really big on people just identifying what their travel nurse why is. Because if you don't have a why for travel nursing, this is not going to make sense for you. Because for some people, we are not here for a good time. We just here for a short time. You are just here to meet the needs of why you are traveling. And I get that. I understand that. So for people who are saying, listen, they slashing my rates, I'm done, I can go on, pack my things and go back home. I can relate to that because actually, I was talking to my recruiter yesterday and he was asking me about extending my contract here. And I explained to him the housing market here is astronomical. Like, they are price gouging housing. So he said to me, we can cover your housing and increase your W-2 rate. So as a travel nurse, if you don't know, you are paid an hourly rate for the hours you work. You're paid a stipend for your housing and stipend for your meals in most cases. So what he suggested to me was that we increase the rate for the hours that I get paid for working. Now, for me, that's just not the option that I want, because the more your hourly rate is, the more you're going to be taxed. I would rather always max out my untaxed portion of my pay package versus increasing the amount that's going to be taxed. I want to max out my untaxed. And so that's what I explained to him. And so we negotiated, and he was able to find a way to give me a nice chunk of money that's going to be untaxed. And so always negotiate your contract. Like, make sure that you're reading your contracts. Make sure that you are asking for what you need in your contract. Travel nursing, you always want to remember that your recruiter is not your friend. Not saying that recruiters aren't nice, wonderful people. I'm just saying, remember, your recruiter is not your friend. It is a business arrangement. Like, your recruiter is the connection between you and the hospital. So it's you, your recruiter, the hospital. Your recruiter works for the agency that's paying you. That's it. So this is a business arrangement. Your recruiter is not your friend. So you want to make sure that you have those clear boundaries where you are talking with your recruiter and being upfront about what it is you need as a travel nurse. Because just like in my situation, I'm telling my recruiter, you know, he really was pressing on me, oh, the hospital wants you to extend. And I know that to be true because my manager did have that conversation with me. So he's like, the hospital wants you to extend. So if you want me to extend, then I'm telling my recruiter, you got to work with me to make it a feasible contract for me, because really, I can go back closer to home, not duplicate expenses, and make money, as opposed to being in a place where I have to pay for lodging and all those things. And so just always make sure you're clear about what you're asking for in your contract, and always make sure that you're reading your contract to make sure the verbiage and the language is what you understand and what you and your recruiter discussed during the time that you were vetting this assignment. And so circling back to the rates dropping, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's unfair, it's against the law. But, you know, this is like at will kind of employment. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't want to use those legal terms. But like, if you read your contracts, your contract could be cut at any time for any reason. You're a contractual worker, so there's no guarantees on anything when it comes to being a travel nurse. And so you always want to make sure that you read your contract to see what are the guarantees. Like, can they call you off for shifts? Can they decrease your rate while you're on the assignment? Like, you want to be able to know these things. And so I have never had that happen to me where I've been on an assignment where my rate was drastically cut. And again, if I were in that situation, I definitely would make the choice to leave, because it's gotta make sense for me. Like, it, you know, if it was cut by, you know, a few dollars, that's different. But when we're talking about half, no, like, you know, we're out here traveling for a reason. I want to venture out to say 90-something% of travel nurses are traveling for the financial gain. And rightfully so. Like, it takes a lot to be a travel nurse. People think that it's all about, you know, you're making so much great money. It's a huge sacrifice to be away from your family, your friends, and everything that you know to be comfortable and safe and just your environment to be doing this. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity, but it does not come without sacrifice. So what can you do if you're on an assignment and your rate gets cut and you feel like, oh snap, what am I supposed to do next? Well, if you decide that what they're going to be offering you is not favorable for you, then you get in touch with your agency and you let them know, based on this, I'm going to sever the contract. And that's just what it is. Like, they have to let you get out of that contract. They can't make you stay. Don't be fearful of being blackballed with these institutions, with travel nurse companies. There are so many options out here that you don't have to feel stuck in anything. So, you know, if it's no longer working for you, cut your losses and say goodbye. I always recommend, although I don't have it anymore, I recommend that travel nurses have a per diem job. When you have a per diem job, you always have some kind of income that you can fall back on to, you know, fill in the gaps while you're looking for your next contract. I quit my per diem job because it just no longer worked with my life. I kind of did it abruptly. It was within my plan to do it, but not at the time that I did it. So I do recommend that you have a per diem job. I'm actually looking for a per diem job out here in California. Also, make sure that your resume, your credentials, all of those things are up to date, because sometimes during this time where there's a lot of turnover with these jobs, you're also going to be receiving lots of communication from different companies who may have jobs that fit what you're looking for. And because it's going to become competitive, because everybody is going to be now looking for a job, you want to make sure that your resume is up to date, top tier. All of your things are in order so that when you do see those opportunities, you can quickly apply for it. Nothing worse than wanting to apply for a job, especially as a travel nurse, and you can't find your NRP card, you can't find your BLS card, your resume is not up to date. One of the things that I do when I end one travel assignment, I immediately update my resume for that assignment so that I can always keep on building my resume, because as a travel nurse, your resume is a little bit different. It's not your traditional resume. Your travel nurse resume is going to have, the details of the assignment that you were on, the type of hospital you worked at, whether it was a level 1, 2, or whatever, how many beds are on the hospital unit that you're working on. They want to know those things because, travel, it's not like you're applying for a permanent position. Someone who's looking to hire a travel nurse wants to know that you got the skill set, you've got the experience, and you can jump in and work with little to no training. So your resume should be outlined like that. And if you need tips and pointers on travel nurse resumes, now listen, I used to do resumes for a short time. I realized that because I'm a perfectionist, redoing people's resumes, it just took too much time for me. It just took a lot of time, because if I do something like that, I want to commit to it and make sure that it's a good product. So I stopped doing resume services. However, if you guys want me to do a video specifically on what you should include in your travel nurse resume, I definitely can do that for you, okay? So just let me know down in the comments if that's something you're interested in. You want to be working with more than one agency. A lot of people will jump into travel nursing, and I know that because I used to be people will jump into travel nursing, get with a great recruiter, start working on your first contract where you're making like great money and you're like, oh, I'm loving life here. My first recruiter, when I went on my first local contract, oh, they sent me flowers to the unit when I extended my contract. I was like, what? Flowers for me? I thought that was so cute because that had never happened to me as a staff nurse. Like, we getting a pin for Nurses Week, right? So for them to send me flowers to the job, I was like, oh, wow, this is nice. My other recruiter, when I was with Aya Healthcare, I did one contract with them, and she came to me and she's like, hey, I can get you your California nursing license for free. And I was like, what? Like, what's the catch? And she's like, nothing. We just have a license program. I can get it to you. They paid for my California license up front. I didn't have to put out one penny for it. They paid for it. I did one contract with them afterwards because I felt kind of indebted to my recruiter for that. I did one contract with them after that, and I've never worked with Aya ever since then. So I'm saying all that to say that, work with more than one agency, because one, you want to see what is out there that's competitive. You could be looking at jobs with agency A, and then you jump over to agency B, and they'll be offering the exact same position for more money. So you want to definitely be working with a minimum of 2 agencies, 2 recruiters. And I know recruiters don't like to hear that. They want you exclusively working with them, but it's a competitive market out here, and different agencies are going to offer you different things. Some agencies have exclusive contracts, like maybe they hold all the contracts for Kaiser, just to use that for an example. Maybe an agency you work with has like a majority of contracts in California, and that's where you want to work, where you may have a recruiter that only has a little bit of contracts in California, so it doesn't give you as many options. So you always want to be working with more than one recruiter to make sure that you have options. Like, you want options. You don't want to just have to say, oh, I only have 5 places to pick from with this agency, but then agency over here may have 25 places for you to pick from. And with this competitive market, because a lot of travel nurses are going to be looking for a new job, you want to have as many options as possible. Also want to consider doing local assignments. It's nothing wrong with that. I started out doing travel nursing on a local assignment. It worked for me. It doesn't pay as much as travel nursing, because as a travel nurse, you are traveling away from home. You have to be at least 50 miles outside of your home in order to benefit from a lot of the tax-free stipends. However, if you're below that radius, that's considered local travel nursing. And there's nothing wrong with local travel nursing. I made pretty good money as a local travel nurse on my very first assignment. It gave me an opportunity to get my feet wet in travel nursing. Like one of the biggest fears I think people have when it comes to travel nursing is, one, you really don't believe that this money is real. Like, am I really going to be making $3,000 a week? Like if I'm used to making $1,800 every 2 weeks, now you telling me I'm going to make $3,000 a week? That's kind of like unbelievable. I know when I started it, I was like, I don't know if I should leave my security of this job that I've been at, and they give me the benefits and the PTO, and I like my supervisor, and I can get days off when I want, and all those things. It's scary to leave that to go into something unknown like travel nursing. And travel nursing can be uncertain because you can be getting ready to go on an assignment, and before you even go, they can cut your assignment. I'm telling you, I always tell the story of how I was going to spend my summer in Hotlanta for my second contract. Baby, they cut that thing. I had secured housing, and I had put down a deposit for housing, all those things. Like, yes, I'm going to Atlanta for the summer. My recruiter called me like, oh no, the hospital no longer needs you, because always remember, travel nursing is based on demand, supply and demand. The hospital no longer needed me. And I was kind of devastated, like, what? And I was out I think I spent $250, which $250 was a lot of money for me to lose back then. I think I had put down $250 on this house, and I'm like, girl, I need my money back. And it all worked out for me. And then I went on to Massachusetts and had a wonderful experience. But sometimes that does happen, that you will be ready to go on an assignment and you won't go anywhere. You have to be flexible when it comes to being a travel nurse, because nothing is guaranteed. And I feel like a lot of people get into these situations with making the money or the projected money, and being in these environments. You might be on an assignment where it's like mad cool. You love all the people you work with, and then one day that comes to an abrupt poop. It comes to a stop. And you like, well, what just happened? I was loving life. But as a travel nurse, you've got to be flexible and be ready to move when it is time for you to move. Like, unless you're in a position to create routes where you travel, then you always have to know that at any time your assignment could be up. And that's the life of a traveler. Like I mentioned before, supply and demand is what travel nursing is all about. So just be open to traveling to different locations. Sometimes the location is going to be the reason why you're getting paid a high rate, because they really need travel nurses in that area. So some people are kind of like, no, I'm only going to travel to this place. Well, if you set yourself up that you're only going to travel to one particular place, then you are really cutting your options in half, maybe. So just be open to traveling to different locations so that you can keep on getting this travel nurse bag. I think those are all my tips how to deal with these rates dropping. Know that this is a season. It happens. Like, we've never dealt with a pandemic. So this is the first time. Like, if you jumped into travel nursing as a pandemic nurse, then this is like a shock to your system, where, what you mean I'm not getting my $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a week anymore? This is what I'm used to for the last 2 years. Prayerfully, these COVID numbers are going down, that people are not as impacted as we were in terms of people being sick from COVID. And now we got to rebuild from that place. And so there are options out here for you. If you still want to travel, I would recommend the things that I talked about. Make sure you're working with more than one agency. Make sure that you are looking up agencies that offer crisis rates. There are agencies that exclusively offer crisis rates. Like, do your research to find out those agencies. Look for agencies that offer short-term assignments that might be paying a little bit more. Sometimes that's the case. So do your research out here in the travel nurse world to find out which agencies are going to be best for you. A lot of people always ask me my favorite agency, and if you've been following me for long enough, I don't have a favorite agency. I go with whoever is offering what I need at the time that I'm looking for a job. And so I think that it's very personalized to find out, you know, what kind of agency you want to work with. This is controversial, but there are agencies that only do strike nursing. Some nurses like to do strike nursing so that they can work. Strike nurses get paid, you know, a lot of money to fill in when hospitals are striking. So you may want to look into something like that. It is a personal choice. I know strike nursing is such a touchy subject, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but just know that it's an option for you. So always keep your options open as a travel nurse. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I talked about, or if there was like any confusion about anything that I talked about, because I know I just went off the script with this video and kind of just went in on it. But the reason I wanted to talk about this topic is because I've been hearing a lot of people like, oh no, the rates are dropping. I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm like the fairy godmother for travel nursing. And the reason for that is because like travel nursing rejuvenated and saved my nursing career. Like I was looking for hair schools. Like I was about to apply for hair school and be like a whole natural hairstylist out here. I was looking for a whole new career. And some days I still am. But travel nursing has been the thing to help me gain control of my finances, put me in a better place financially. I have learned how to put a new skill set as a travel nurse leader on my resume. I'm able to travel for work. I'm able to take breaks and travel for leisure without having to worry about PTO. Like I feel like as a travel nurse, besides not having the schedule that I always want, as a travel nurse, I'm able to be much more in control of my career as a nurse. Nursing is hard. Like it is not this glamorous job. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to make so much money. Like my life is going to be great. I think nursing is a wonderful career. Obviously, next month will be 14 years that I have been a nurse. And I'd have to say, I don't know what other career I would have picked. Do I love it all the time? I don't love it all the time, but I think that it offers lots of options and lots of flexibility if you are open to different possibilities. That is my soapbox for today. If y'all have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If this video resonated with you, leave a pink heart in the comment section. And I'll see y'all on the next video. And then again, let me know if you guys want me to talk about what you should include in your travel nurse resume. I'll be happy to put that video together for you. All right, y'all. Like, share, subscribe. We are 50, I think 6 people away from 1,000 subscribers. I'm climbing toward that so that my channel can finally become monetized. I know that I need to be more consistent putting these videos out so that I'm being able to serve this community a lot more than I do. But I 100% appreciate everyone who is here. I thank all 940 something of you guys who are subscribed to this channel. Y'all have no idea. I love y'all. 1,000. All right, I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.